Okay. I tell you what, very confused. Oh, what's this? Oh, this is this. I have to do this. Button clicking. Just ever so confused about what's happening with the thrill of the chase. Just baffled beyond belief, actually. But I don't think that's really, I don't think I'm alone in that right now, actually. Well, I tell you what, I'm definitely bewildered, confused on this whole DB Cooper thing. For one, I think the whole idea that Forrest could have been DB Cooper, while it has, can I say it has merit? I don't think I can even say that. While it sounds, interesting and romantic and neato, the reality is that if you want to prove, let's say, Forrest is DB Cooper, this is a federal offense. They don't forget. So you would bringing down a lot of you just bring down a lot of light to people about a thing that is so federally offensive, and it's based on ever so slight of idea and concept. For instance, I think the idea of coming to the word DB is totally relevant, and the fact that Cooper and copper are similar, I can see the wordplay Forrest is having to get you to say those words, to insinuate this is who Forrest is. Let's put it this way: Forrest is a clever little guy, and he's really good at marketing. So if Forrest says, or you say, "Wow, I think there's a lot that makes you look like Mr. Fenn, that you could have been DB Cooper," and Forrest would say, "Huh, that's really interesting." He would not confirm, nor would he deny, because letting you sit in your own imagination and come up with your own ideas is its own marketing, is its own thing that takes off. So if that was going on while Forrest was alive, that seems great. You want to think that my father is Gary Cooper? Right on. I won't stop you. If you want to think that Forrest is capable of doing this great federal. Let's put it this way: if you're smart enough to pull off this deal, which by the way was a conversation going through the Air Force in the day because of the type of airplane it was, so it was always a thing that was knocked around in a think tank. So groovy, right? Okay, so the idea is out there. Does some clever person come up, expand on it and actually go do it? Sure, okay, that's totally possible. Do I think Forrest Fenn is actually DB Cooper? No, and here's why. Because we had federal officers go through his house looking for antiquities. His life has been in antiquities. I have a feeling that whatever he did in his early life is that possibly started his antiquity career. It's illegal. It wasn't illegal, and then it became illegal. It became morally, what's the word on that? Not ambiguous. It became, well, here's the deal. Why was there a rush on Native American artifacts? Because really smart people knew that these people are going away. So for one, they want to preserve a people, a conquered people. You want to maintain that cultural identity. And then if you are the surviving people, which there is very few, and only recently had Native Americans, First Nation folks, have enough money to actually represent themselves and get artifacts back. But this sort of thinking did not exist until what? After the war. Way after the war. So let's say you're 15, 16, 13, 14, and you're a logger, you're out there, in the wild, and you come across artifacts, Native American artifacts, and you think they're really cool, they're really neato. And you put them in a box, put them under your bed. You get out of the war, and then you find out these things have a lot of value. As a matter of fact, there's this whole class of people that buy bronze, that buy first off anythings, and they're gonna want they want to collect these things, and you happen to have something that works on that. Well, now you're off and running, right? So now you're 60, 50 years old, and now you have a conscience about what you found and what it meant to a group of people. For instance, the Arapaho people, which are severely diminished, their artifacts would be priceless because they're all made out of organic material. Very few, writings and or petroglyphs or, passing of that kind of language is always on bark. The North American Indians would put it on bark, redwood bark, because it doesn't go anywhere for 100 years and it's fireproof. So things like that. So if you come across Native American art artifacts as a teenager and you think it's neato and you keep it, and then it becomes worth tens of thousands of dollars, right? And there might be more, and you might have an idea how to find them. Well, off you would go and you would do that. This is just, and then you would get in trouble later in life from a thing you did as a young man. Which is a paradox, There's more likelihood of that because that is the evidence that is around Forrest Frank. Good God, he was, massive in the whole Cody Museum, the whole McCracken Institute that's up there of doing scientific research and preservation. Right? I mean, that's how Forrest was able to verify the pipe he has as Sitting Bulls and all that kind of stuff. Richard, good to see you, sir. Richard Rutherford. Great name. So I keep thinking about the thin veils that make it possible for people to consider D.B. Cooper as a doubleganger of freaking Forrest Fenn. And I'm thinking, while I think there is some things going afoot there, I do not think it's to that end. I think I look split in half because of the light. Yeah. Wow. I got spots coming through my shades. What am I doing having my face on here? We should definitely turn on another camera. What? You don't need to be looking at me. Anyway. So, point being is, it seems extraordinarily unlikely that Forrest Fenn is D.B. Cooper. There was lots of more evidence in another direction. And here's a question I keep throwing out, and I never got an answer. Lucky. Gosh, bless you. Sunshine. So here's a thought, and I put this out to Ben. I keep putting this out to everyone, and I never get a straight answer. It's really a yes or no question. Is counting, or actually numbering the poem, too hard? That's a kind of a question, right? Or does it seem kind of off-putting? In other words, does it seem like it really seems like that's just too abstract? But when I see that word precision, yeah, okay. So here's what I think about the. So I'm putting that question out as an imagination brain exercise. Is numbering the poem top to bottom, bottom to top, is that hard, illogical? Does it just have a bad feeling about it? It's fascinating. Holy, good Lord. Listening from work. Now here's classic. Now Julia's read the book. I don't know even if she's read it all the way through, but once for sure. But it's a thing, and she's big into words. She writes. She's into it. Words flow from this woman, not from me. So what we're talking about is perceptions and how one perceives a thing, right? So William Blake, The Doors, Doors of Perception. That's where the band got its names, right? And then in the two videos that I just saw from Cynthia, yet she mentions doors twice, threshold moment, page 16. Point being, Huli, the question is, would you consider numbering the poem as part of your solve? Boom. Right? This is to everyone. Is it a deal that you would come up? The end. FF is the missing, kidnapped Lyndon Borbett. Yeah, you're right. The baby didn't die, and it actually became Forrest in another life. That's it. The end. This is the end. Right. So the fact that he put the end in there, Richard, who's quite astute to Doors lyrics, definitely sees the connection there. Now, interesting. Just dawned on me, Richard, here would be an interesting connection to that. If you number the poem from the top to the bottom, which apparently it's too hard for anyone to do. It's a radical concept. No one's going to do it. It isn't. Didn't die. Hilarious. Right? People don't want to do that. That doesn't seem organic, normal, correct. Wouldn't do it. There's definitely, I can't get anyone to actually answer that, which is really, really interesting. Would you have numbered the poem? Blank. Nothing. Ride the snake, baby. I remember that. That's the cat with the big hat. So here it is. The end. If the date the album was released and it has the end on it from The Doors, would that be relevant to backing up The Doors was there? Or even better, if it goes to the page where he talks about doors, threshold moment. What was another one? Where are the other ones here? Something in the barn? I thought there was a barn, right? Candle burning at both ends. Double blazes. Candle burning at both ends. That's not a Blake reference, is it? I thought I had most of Blake. I gotta reread all my Blake. Happy Monday, Susie Q. I don't like my... Whoa! I have an answer. I have answered this before. I don't like... And you didn't like my answer. Well, remind me what I said, because I don't remember these things. I don't mind numbers in the poem. You jump to things way outside the poem, the book, music, movies. Yes, I hear that a lot, which is bizarre, because if you read page 39, he says he's counting. That's exactly what he is doing. I don't know, I just found it. What has happened is this simple idea has really shoved me way out on the fringe. So it seems more likely that D.B. Cooper is a possibility as opposed to numbering the poem. And what the words and the numbers equal can take you to a next part. Now there's another part for my solution. Why would you call it a solution when I'm only talking theory? If you remember, I have never actually said I know exactly where this is. Right? And alpha would be A, would be number one. So it begins with alpha. So if you're gonna apply a Greek alphabet numbering system to the poem, fine. And that's fascinating. I'm only talking about what is a hint. Why DB, right? Is DB in this? And what does it reflect? What line reflects D.B. Cooper? I'll tell you exactly what line. Hear me all and listen well, right? The measurement of sound is called dB, decibels, and it's dB, right? So it is mutually DB and numbering the poem are mutually exclusive. What does mutually exclusive? Adam! Adam, sir, while you're working, a thing to consider. So Hooley thinks that it's mutually exclusive to number the poem. Would you number the poem from the top to the bottom? Have you made your own copy? Have you printed 4 or 5 copies and drawn and underlined and noticed all the coincidences in the poem? Have you done all that? Have you numbered the poem from the top to the bottom and bottom to the top, and then found interesting the numbers that land on such words, and then looked at them in the book? See, is this too many layers? Apparently that's too many layers. If the poem is a map, is it a map to the book? Is it a map to the location? Is it a table of contents if you number it? First video jumped on for ages. Yes, good to see you. I mean, I'm perplexed at why it's possible that Forrest could be D.B. Cooper. It just makes my brain go, why would you make that radical jump to all the way to D.B. Cooper? I think it's interesting that he parachuted out. Is the coincidences of what DB has done and is parallel? I'm just, yes, use Roman numerals. You could just, so number the poem and then translate it to Roman numerals. So where do we see Roman numerals? Ha 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 ha. In a clock, and we have references to times all the time. So clock, compasses, these are all more relevant and necessary, and that what takes us to D.B. Cooper. Okay. I don't know. I guess I'm frustrated with being told how it's less likely it's this. See, but you haven't. 9 Mile is ridiculous that it's being pushed so hard. That's a good way to put it. And it's fascinating what it is. 81. 81 is, oh, she's making fun of ha ha ha. Cooley, your humor is subtle and yet brilliant at the same time. Most searchers can't get past number 1 and 2. Don't disagree. Can't say W, but you see, why don't you number it and let your imagination go from there? So Adam, I highly recommend you photograph that page on the book. Then you print it, right? And then you number it from the top and to the bottom. And then see what those numbers fall upon in the book. Whoa. And another thing that keeps coming up, a grid search. If you do a grid search, is not a grid search the same as a periodic table? Could you not use the periodic table as a grid? Whoa. Fascinating. DB is on there as 105. So is it less about, what if you know where to land the periodic table on a map, right? Let's say Casper. Let's say we know Casper, and we on the correct scale, this lays down onto that map. Because if you'll notice, when you look at any freaking Google map or GPS maps, or not GPS, what's the word I'm looking for? BLM maps, any of those kind of maps, they're all grids. They're all showing, squares. Well, what if this lays on top of it, and where gold is the very area we're supposed to look in? What? What is gold? 79 is gold, right? And it has an atomic weight, perhaps a heavy load, of 196.9. So 1969, right there. How about that? When Woodstock happened. So he mentions 79 a lot. Page 79 is interesting all into itself. Staying within the parameters, you have to dock. We have to dock you page. We have to dock you a page. And I find it fascinating what seems more possible to people than others. It's like, you ever watch Frank Abagnale Jr. Frank Abagnale Jr. is what Caprio played in Catch Me If You Can. The real true story of this guy. He studied for 2 weeks and passed the bar at 21 years old or less. Not sure what age he was at. Yellow Pages. Huh. Anyway, yeah, I'm not sure what I remember about Yellow Pages. Why does that sound familiar, Yellow Pages? Addresses. Anyway, Frank Abagnale is amazing. He goes on tours, and he's brilliant like that, right? And he's the only person that's been invited to work for the FBI after he served his 10 years in jail. And it's fascinating how he works. Joey's mom. It's very sweet. Sorry about that. Yeah, that was Netflix, and they were saying, so Davio, we think you're so far on the fringe. We want to put you into our video, but we found out that you are so not about drama that that's just not going to work. So we're gonna pass on that there, DH. Okay, you betcha. Lip reading would come in handy. That's freaking funny. Right on. Definitely need some pancakes. Smiley days. Absolutely. Been an interesting little journey. So I've been working on this video, right? Hey, Richard. Mario Montanaro. Buonasera. See? Hello. Told you. So I'm talking to freaking Netflix. No, I'm kidding. Netflix does not want to have anything to do with me. And apparently I filled out paper and sent it off to some documentary people, and I'm not going to hear back to them. And all I do is aggravate freaking Jens. Because it's like, Jens, why are you doing, what are you trying to say in your video, Jens? What is this? Because it's an interesting topic. And this right here, DB Cooper thing is perfect. Right? Because what's the chances of this Yahoo on Netflix? I want to see the Beatles documentary. That's all I want to see. I want to see the Beatles thing. What is it? They're calling it Get Back, or the Missing Beatle tapes, or whatever. I want to see all that. I've been watching everything I can see that's been coming out on that, and that's freaking great. But I think the DB Cooper thing is a lesson or a exercise in perception. For me, DB takes me to DB 105. It takes me to decibels. It doesn't take me to a guy jumping out of an airplane and thinking that's where this is ultimately going to. That seems like really reaching. And apparently, that's just as much of a reach as in numbering the poem. Fascinating. And all of this I find fascinating because I'm trying to figure out Jack. Is he a bit of a savant? I'm thinking he might be. To extrapolate all this information in that kind of speed, one would have to have a leg up or have an incredible great memory of all of these parts and how they attach to that. And here's another thing one has to consider out there, and none of you guys will answer this either, is how many layers do you think it is? Do you think it's just straight, you're really looking for water temperature, an actual water temperature? There is no, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not a metaphor to something else. It's not a lead-in to something, to another layer of information. No, it's got to be this to that, which is fascinating. They would spend the energy looking at the auction website instead of the DB Cooper. Yeah, Rusty, is there anything going on that? Big nudge. See, I agree. It seems like there would be. Richard wants my autograph. Just write I never spell my name the same way twice. So if you write it, it'll look like I did. Dyslexia at its best. So I'm wondering, have you been? So here's a question for Rust. Have you been to this website? Because I have not. Have you seen any movement? I've heard of no movement on there. Is it? And I heard it was pulled from the auction. So I think it still sits in a safe in New Mexico, not Santa Fe, but in New Mexico. Dig it? So that's the last I heard. Right on. Right on, Richard. My dyslexia is so bad. I mean, and that's why I'm relating to Jack Stoof. If I've got people watching me while I write, I'll misspell my name because I can't. Jesus, how do you describe dyslexia to somebody? My motor skills don't work with what I see in my head. In my head, it's lovely. It's freaking scripted, lovely, beautiful. And then when I get the pencil into my hand and I actually start to put it down, it's like, wait a minute, it's coming out like Chinese. Wait, I'm focused on getting the letters in the right order, but I see the end before the middle. So it's supposed to go D-A-V D. And I'm going, okay, I got to get that D right. And so I'll spell the last letter before the first. Oh, what my brain does is bizarre. 2 o'clock, is it that late? It's 200. Do you know where your chest is? That's good. It's 2 o'clock. Do you know where your chest is? It's 2 a.m. Do you know where your kids are? Fuck yeah, they're out there whoring on the streets. They're smoking that ice out there. That's what they's doing. The guy with Tober the cat. 9 Mile solve, and the DB question has taken away from many sharp minds. I think sharp minds have stepped away, my good sir, and you've gone, this is bizarre. It's mildly entertaining. I must say, there's a certain amount of entertainment watching Ben, get all excited about a thing. But just because you get really excited and you found this little connection, it seems like, what would give you confidence to get in your car? I mean, that would be a part worth looking at. So 3 answers we seek. So I think, Rusty, we agree that we would like to know what are the parts, where was the location. So Jack, if you're out there, that's all we want, right? 6 eyes. There's 7 eyes in the book, in the poem, right? So that's 5 plus 2, right? So that's VII. Anyway. I digress. What's with H sharp? What the hell is going on? I need a haircut. It's just driving me out of my fucking mind. Distractions. What is with H sharp? Sharp as in Sharp's the cabin that he procured off of a reservation, paid all the money, and he's got his name on a plaque this big. I swear to God, it says Forest Fence. Donated by Forest Fence on a plaque. Can you imagine the expense it would take to remove Sharp's cabin from that? For one thing, the nations probably wanted it off their property, and it was probably going to go into radical decline. Did the Native Americans receive any of the money from the art that Sharp created from all of those people? Good question. I mean, he did feel bad because the Sharp's rifle was annihilating the people. Interesting, right? Sharp minds. That's good. My vision. Okay, what's this 9 Mile is wrong. So fucking wrong. We fully agree, and we are aligned with the whole 9 Mile thing is so fucking wrong. There is a fundamental part that they are all getting wrong. I agree. And that is a fascinating terms there. Fundamental. Great word. Great word. The fundamentals. What would be the fundamentals? I think there are parts. I think there are things one needs to get to an end on this. 2 parts of glass, 6 eyes. That's funny. Bifocals. Trifocals. So fundamentals. So to create 9. So yeah, the 9. But yes, but what is 9? Right? I mean, what is 9? Let's find out real quick. Let's just go pow. And look what 9 is. Ni is nickel on the periodic table, if you want to say Ni. If you want to count number 9 and use the periodic table, is fluorine, which is 18.998, which is really interesting because OF, right, through of the chase is 9 and 8. Well, here, so I don't know. I just think there's something something clever going on. No! It just means no. Huli says, oh, stop being so ridiculous. But if you're traveling confident, I think I challenge Huli, which is why she pops around. Why would this woman hang out and listen to me on the side? I must challenge. I'm at least trying to challenge all of you. 90s, 33s. 9 years old, too. That's 1939. You can see 9 in a whole bunch of different ways. 9 as in 9 holes of golf. What makes one stand out more than another is because something repeated. Ouch. Fuck. So maybe it's something like that, right? Where's the thing? I got to do a thing and a deal, and we got to do this. Oh, shicey. Containing 9 clues. Yeah, see, the 9 shows up. Absolutely, the 9 shows up, right? Ooh. Minus I gets us to 9. See, now I like that kind of stuff. But don't you find it interesting? I guess no one does. Was it not like, did anybody have an idea to count the poem from top to bottom? Does that seem like, I mean, it wasn't my, let's put it this way, it took me 5 years before I came up with the idea. So let's see, Ben only's been in it for a couple of years, right? 3 years or whatever. So what does it mean to do the work? I mean, there comes a point where you're racing to the end, thinking, what is the thing we're missing? Is the olive jar going to talk about who Forrest really is when Forrest is clearly stated? And it sounds like that it is just basically an actual memoir of who Forrest is. Well, in that actual memoir, is it basically Too Far to Walk? Shrunk down to where you have to use a magnifying glass to read it, because that's a real more of a memoir than Thrill of the Chase. Thrill of the Chase is bizarre. It's a shitty freaking memoir because it doesn't include all the things that would matter. J.K. Pioneer, no kidding, right on. But is as if, or if, we got people thinking there. 1 potato, 2 potato behind the potato truck. Number 369. 369, that's Tesla. I never doubted Jack, as the finder, agreed to have present enough evidence that 9 Mile Hole and Jack's involvement for me to now doubt Jack. So that means this Condor 2 stuff, I think that's thin. Is X 10 or is X J for 10? Ooh, nice, Mario. Right on, JK. Hope everybody's well. Am I saying, is it Marino or Mario? I'm always going to say it. I'm always going to read and say it wrong. But yes. Well, so when I see, nine, I'm thinking, does it mean, 9 and then page 9 has a relevance in the book? Because, I don't know, there's always a layer that takes us to something which becomes many layers coming together to create a whole thing. Based upon what you have found in a location, you have got to have found something other than a tree, because what distinguishes a tree from another tree? Nothing. Oh, Mario. Cool. Julie's teaching me how to talk. I appreciate the hell out of that, Julie. Greater than, less than. Ooh, nice. Oh, Yoko. Less than, greater than. Right. Is this thing more than this? F said think. Yeah. And that's what we're doing here. Asterisks. Ooh, I like all that. Asterisks. So one has to think, is he in this memoir, is he trying to express his life through movies and his experience through seeing these movies and music that was freaking the massive golden age of all that art in his time? I like how the lights look on me. I wonder. INFJ. That's interesting terms you're using, because I've been doing all those tests and I am freaking confused. I've been doing all these tests. As a matter of fact, it's interesting all this here, there, INFJ. Because I'll say it wrong again. I should write it down. Because it's supposed to be one of these, and I cannot get confused with. I have been. So I've been working out what my deal is. Why would one get so obsessed with thrill of the chase, right? Many reasons, and I think we all share some of those reasons. Some of it is a grandiose distraction from what is going on in your life and the chaotic thing that is happening in our life, right? That's a good reason to get involved with. One is that it's a great distraction with a payout at the end. Like, I think I can be clever enough to figure this out. Let's go! Woohoo! Right? Come on, bring it on. How hard could this be? I mean, it's just an old guy writing a book, huh? Right? And on that topic of doing well, Russ, suicidal ideations and all that, been working on what the fuck does all that mean? And see, we're all confused. Right, which takes us back to the word fundamentals. What would be a fundamental in this? Because to get to a place where you're confident enough to get in your car and go, right? If you have limited money, you got to be really fucking confident. So, to that degree, there's got to be some kind of fundamental that we could all share in a theory that gets us to somewhere. Because what's really fun is to go brain candy and go, well, this seems like it could be like this, and then you look at a map and I'm going there. Well, that's not confident. And it's romantic and it's fun. And definitely you should do that. And if your freaking 12-year-old child is saying, I really think it's in Yellowstone, well, then you're going to go, you're right. Let's get in the freaking car and go have a wander around Yellowstone. Because that's the overarching grandiose objective here, right? So let's call that layer one. Let's call it the 12-year-old adolescent. The adolescent, the pedestrian theory, that it's a single layer, and that it gets you to there. It's all about warm. I'm looking for brown. I'm looking for creeks, words that are actually in the poem. No deviation, right? I think we're onto a thing here. I've never known such a long period with no news. Real news? Dude, when do you think we actually got real news? Adam, do you actually think that we are really we really have found Condor 2, or whoever this person is actually a friend of Jack's for real? Is there actually confirmation? Is this known? The only way we're going to have that is if Jack says, yes, Condor 2 is my brother. 7%ers. Zoe, I had a question for Zoe. Because Zoe has got a real structured concept of how this thing works for him. It works as in there are 9 clues, there are 9 locations, and then you go to 9 deals. Now, 9 somethings. He'll put it up on the screen in a second because he's got it down. And I don't disagree with him. See, I like the fundamental structure that Zoe has, right? 15 years to write that, motherfucker. You are so right. Oh, I'm curious because I like what Rusty has to say. Because Russ doesn't write much, and when he does, it's usually powerful. There are many basics of the bit chase that the masses got wrong. Right at the start. Right. The groupthink. There's a great word. I like it when you use words I don't know. Shit. Try it again. Groupthink.
Perpetuated.
There it is. Perpetuated. I thought it was. I just didn't want to get it wrong. Perpetuated is right. Andre, right on. Fully agree. There are many basics of the chase that the masses got wrong. Right at the start. The groupthink perpetuated. Yes, I never went with that group. It's not my style to go easily upon thinking with group. Here's Mario's deer. Here it is. 9 clues equal 9 locations. Fascinating theory. And this is his, what do you call that? This is the groundwork. 9 adventures, 9 references to notaries or solutions. I love this. So he's got a structure. He's got an idea we're sticking there. More progress made with the bigger picture. Right. So what is the bigger picture? Now, Adam is a great word. Adam is a brand new searcher. Adam has gotten to this after it was found, or in that week at least, right? Whereas I got into this in 2012. So we have these different levels of after you've been in it and you run into a roadblock or a theory that gets you to nowhere, you have to adapt. And good Lord, changing your own perspective and then readapting to another concept extraordinarily hard. So, for instance, I'm going to assume Zoe is right with a percentage of what he's figured out. I totally agree with him, right? Oh, I missed something about Condor. Condor is a vulture. Fully agree. So what would be the basics, right? What would be things that are relevant that would take you to the next thing, right? That's what to me, that is the fun. Oh, here we go. Uh-oh. Whoa. Whoa, Hooli went there. So you kind of hit me. They now are you searching your turn? Flashlights. Let your light shine, fade away. That sounds familiar. I'm not reading it really well because I'm still in shock from what she says. I was listening to psychiatrists and pain specialists. She was speaking about childhood suicidalization, and she said that it's normal. Yes, it's how one deals with it. So I had catastrophic head injury at 3 years old, we figured out, and at the same time, my mom divorced my father and married Hoffman. At the same time, that was all going on. Tapped out. Yeah, I guess you just watched me tap out right there. So that's part of what I'm dealing with. So that creates synesthesia. So synesthesia thinking is a thing that I've been researching. How I think in these the pattern in which I think is different. I think in personalities. So that gets you right to DID, which is dealing in personalities. But I don't deal like most women deal in DID. They actually dress up in these personalities. I merely pull these personalities out to deal with painful things. Or if it was a painful thing, then I throw that personality away and then I adapt something else, which leaves you really hollow after years of it. And then there's 3 events in my life that have happened that I know that I'm rather unconscious with. 9 sentences. Ooh, I would say no because my clue, 8 and 9 both have AB and AB. Okay. But I'm thinking that boom, boom, boom. I don't disagree with that. R said, Cynthia. See, yeah, what Cynthia did. Who told Cynthia? See, yeah, that whole thing about Cynthia, we really need to talk about Cynthia's deal here because that is not. They ran all around. Yeah, she was wandering all over the place. And since when does Shiloh have the answer? I think if you recall, I heard Shiloh talk about nooks and secret places that he should write a book about. That does not mean Shiloh has got the bloody answer to where Forrest put that. As a matter of fact, he would go out of his way to not tell him to keep him safe. So he's not, held at gunpoint to take into where this box was. So does Shiloh know where it was? No. Does Shiloh know all the cool places Forrest went? Let's hope so, because Forrest took him there. Things like that. She also references some secret person, for Christ's sakes, that is supposed to be friends with Jack, apparently, and knows everything. Well, the Nooker Project is not anything. So who told Cynthia's, right? Yeah, I know. The whole thing around Cynthia. Historical plays. Lots of interest out there, Adam. Dig that. Oh, yeah, that's right. Post-mortem. The family must know. But they're not putting the ashes there. See, I think that's just part of a romantic thing in the book. I don't think that's real. I don't think Forrest wants to be anywhere but where Peggy is and where Dad and his brother. I mean, that's the place to be, is with the family. What this thing in the book, I don't hold that. That's just, I think that's just kind of a romantic thing. I mean, it's like spilling water on the ground. It's not like a must. Oh, why do I have a guy knocking on my door? Wait a minute, I think we have a lost kitty. You missing Maverick? You hear him cry? You hear Maverick crying out here somewhere? He's probably, because you know what he does? He goes under our house. Because we have a rat or a mouse. And that's right. So I'm hoping that that's what he's doing down there. If you hear him underneath, that might be what it is. Because of the vents by the water hose, if it's moved aside, he does that. He moves it, comes in and out. He'll come out on his own. He knows how to get out. He likes to make people, nuts. You bet. We got a cat under our house. Okay, sorry. Thor threads, indulgence. Oh yeah, all that kind of stuff. Oh wow, right. Well, we're trying to be friendly about all this. I mean, it's not worth getting mad about. I find it odd that go down the rabbit hole of thinking that forest is dB. That's wow. Okay, here's a thing we can do. Here's why I think dB is relevant. I think the words dB are relevant. I don't think we need to go all the way to dB Cooper. I mean, see right down here, I think the 105, which is dB, is listen, hear me all and listen well. I mean, that's all measurement of a decibel, right? And there's dB right there. And I believe it also, I think it's on page 105 that we have the other numbers that come up. By the way, so look at this. Look at this as a grid that one would use as an archaeologist. Let's say that that's what it's used for. And it's less about, I mean, this right here blows my mind. There's of, right? 8 and 9. Right? And this one's got a crazy, 999 on it. So is that, and look what Einsteinium is. So page 99 is Einsteinium. So, I see connections to this, but to what degree? So if we know what scale, like for instance, is this, do I open up Google Maps and lay this on Casper, and then where the gold is over here is where we should be starting? Is this on a scale of a half a mile? I mean, these are interesting. The fact that K, look at this, AR, there's 19 and 18, 18 and 19. Both have the heavy load of 39. And that's K and R. We're spelling car. So we have car on page 110, right? We have a drawing of a car. Then we have him chasing a car. So is this, trying to tie these things together with these numbers? Wise, to me, is 39. We have a heavy load, but wise in itself is 39. Interesting that that's all on page 39. And word 8 says 8 on that page. So things to me like that are more of a hint and a clue to a layer of something. How's that? Is that vague? You goddamn right it's vague. And it's minerals. It is your minerals and stuff like that. It's interesting. Confirmation bias. Well, I mean, it's all, I think it's, I think there's different layers of it. I think this is all about layers. You know what it's time for? It's time for some pie. We'll say much that the family knows the complete solution. So that's interesting. So Zoe's assuming that, or guessing with great intelligence, and I would assume as much. But at the same time, it would have to be a thing that was like left in a will. But the family didn't really give a shit. The daughters were mad about this because of what it brought to them. It was probably, and they probably tolerated, it was a thing to keep the old man busy, in his 80s, 70s, into his 80s. I mean, that's fascinating how he puts these in these blocks, how he died while he's 90, right? He starts this when he's 80. That means he started writing this when he was 65 and 70. I think he had a whole bunch of ideas that he put together, and then they came together. Fascinating, all this. Fascinating. Love it. interesting man. But the layers, right? So we need to project something here in a group sense that we can agree on. The fundamentals. That's a really good word. What would be a fundamental? We'd have to agree on some things. Do we agree chapter numbers matter? The lack of them matter? Would that be, a thing worth, investigating? And then we use that to abstract. I mean, here's a table of contents. How does this? What if these numbers here, page numbers, words, etc., dates, postmarks, are relevant to when you number the poem? What if that was a part of a fundamental that we shared in, right? And we all shared from the same fundamental. That would be establishing a fundamental, right? It actually gives you something to hang on to instead of saying, well, I don't think that matters because we don't have the next step. The numbering the poem isn't relevant because he wouldn't do that. Or the lack of chapter numbers don't matter. Well, if you see them in a totality here, perhaps they do. You'll notice that everything that is red totals up to the word William. So maybe that's a way of comes to a way of getting a keyword. Then we can agree that there is a keyword. Then how would you use a keyword? So suddenly we could have 9 fundamentals. Woo! He has found 8 layers, at least 8 layers. So if we agree that there's layers, and we expose what a layer is, and we agree upon layers, then I think we actually are moving forward to an actual solution that we can all Will.I.am right there. Fucking genius, right? Exactly Will.I.am. So those things show up in the poem, thus the relevance. AM. What would AM? So how is AM relevant? Go to page 95, Richard. Watch this. And this is how I think we create fundamentals. If you've got the book there, Mario or anybody else, or Zoe, Zoe, if you've got the book handy, look at page 39. Oh, fuck me, I'm trying to read, talk, and think. There's a lot for my brain to do. Let me get the pictures. Okay, page 95. Right? Look at page 95. What is the relevance of page 95? Let's see. Could there be a relevance? Look at this. There's AM, right? And that killer number right there of 243. Now, what's interesting about AM is that you have 95. Well, that's what you see on both sides of the page. When you go to page 95, you actually see AM on both sides of the page. Left and right, far extreme, you see AM, as in Texas AM or I am doing something. Because is this a way of trying to get us to notice a couple of words? Are we spelling a word from M-O to, what's another one? Are we going to spell mom? We're going to spell, are we going to spell MoMA, M-A-M? Are we trying to, make a word that, like father, mother? I mean, interesting that TH is 90, right? ER? Okay, I'm throwing out radical ideas, but I think there might be some fundamentals tied in right there, right? Because when you go to page 95, you see A and M on both sides, right? And I have to ditch this so I can actually see what you're saying. So this would be creating some fundamentals. That would be fun. This might be a way of us collectively figuring this out. Otherwise, we're all throwing out, because all I get is that friend wouldn't do that. Or I get somebody else's idea instead of saying, oh, that's possible, and I see it connecting to this, and thus taking your theory, your solve, even farther. That seems to me, relevant, instead of saying, and locations and adventures. Now that's interesting. What adventures could be. Morse code. Woo! Music scores. And then you come to GPS coordinates. Yes, it's all true. It's all in there. Reasons for the answers. That's right. Diving. So, no book. Driving, no book. So you're doing this without a book. Wow. Driving, no book. Sorry. So you're doing all this without the book. Is that what you're saying? The poem and all. You're saying all this exists in the poem, and one doesn't need the book. Is that what you're saying? The poem is straightforward. No subterfuge in sight. Now that's fascinating. So that means there's not layers for Rusty. He says brown. Brown means brown. It doesn't mean Charlie Brown. It doesn't mean anything else. Divine intervention. Steady. Divine intervention usually gets me in a hospital, Bill. So so Huli, that's a fascinating thing you brought up earlier. If you want to go into that more, I can, because I was thinking of actually doing a show around that, which I thought was. Hi, Sam Searcher. Nibbles! Thrill of the Chase. Do I have it handy? Do I have Thrill of the Chase handy? I do. Give me a page. What are we looking at? Is it a paragraph I'm reading, or am I looking at something more exacting? Because I like the exacting better. Right? I mean, one knows that archaeologists use grids, right? And the periodic table is a grid, just like you're seeing on pages 18 and 19, the windows, right? So maybe that's a thing you lay over a map, right? It's time for some pie. So Huli, just to keep your ear out there, yes, there's a woman who's doing some interesting DID YouTube things, but what I have found most interesting is you want to look at the synesthesia videos, right? Because it's how your brain formats information, and so I see numbers on 95. You mean page 95? Okay, 54. Next to the picture of the backwards bicycle. I'm looking at a backwards bicycle on page 54 on Thrill of the Chase. I'm not recalling a backwards bicycle, but I recall him talking about how it's impossible to ride one of those and that you have to do all that. So is that part of page 54 here? I see Skippy in a photograph. This is page 54, next to the picture of the backward bicycle. Somewhere in Wyoming. This is Sun C-A-Y, Sunday, Sun Clay, 23 May, 1940s. Skippy, as in peanut butter. One fall, it was time to go to school. Skippy got an old Model B Ford. Wow. And announced that he was going to drive it home to Temple. I need a thing. Too many words. The fact that he didn't have a driver's license didn't seem to make... The guy doesn't have a pilot's license, doesn't have a driver's license. Okay. Didn't seem to be much consideration. It was 1,600 miles across 5 states. Father said he couldn't go by himself. So I volunteered to go along and ride shotgun. It surprised everyone, including Skippy. Look at that. So look at these numbers. So this is page 55. And we got 20 miles, and 20 miles an hour, which we got a big math problem here. I remember this. And then 5 miles an hour. Fascinating stuff. And we're on page 55, and 5 keeps repeating. So what are we talking about here? Sorry, maybe page 8. I don't have my book. So what are we looking? We're looking for the backwards bicycle. He is sitting on page 58. There are photographs, and he is on the horses and stuff. The raccoon cat is a little bit of the looking back. Me and Lightning. and you somewhere in Montana. Sunday. One gummy down the hatch. Way to go. I think it's time for a gummy. My fucking ankles are killing me. What time is it? Because I got to do a thing. It's going on 12 o'clock. It's time to eat some pie. But Huli, the thing to talk about, I mean, the thing to look at is the synesthesia, because I got to go. And if I got Huli here, then I kind of need to talk to her for a quick moment. So at another day, I would like to do a show like that, but I don't want to do it alone because I can't read and answer questions about the same time. But the topic would be like, and I believe, and so I'm working with my doctor, who I go see today, about synesthesia in older people and how it manifests in on how I think, right? Oh, the backward bicycle. Next coming. Yeah, I was going to load a bowl, smoke a bowl, have my food. So in other words, I'm working with a doctor, right? And so we're trying to figure out what's going on. It's hard to figure out what the fuck is going on when, and you're going to love this, when you've got severe dyslexia, ADHD, and then synesthesia brain. Now, synesthesia brain just means your right half and your left half kind of get smushed together. It's not such separate halves anymore. Trippy, right? That's kind of like that's mechanically what's going on, and then how your thought processes go in that is yet another fucking thing altogether, which is the DID. DID being split personality, which is what got me hospitalized a lot of my young life. But I think it was due to I did not how to. I mean, when you know they say when you people little cars and you put them in compartments, compartmentalize stuff. Okay, so I had a state of mind. David Cooper, welcome to DB Cooper's brain. So what this happens is a very photographic memory which runs in the family gets smushed. So I compartmentalize actually becomes personalities. Right, so I deal with stuff by putting out a personality or a person. And if it doesn't work, we just throw that one away, and then we work on what does work. So my brain does that, including accents and all kinds of stuff. And there's a whole risky what do you call it? Doing risky things goes along with that, and that would be part of my MO. So, if you're there, David Cooper, welcome. So anyways, I think maybe it would be fun, and I don't want to do it alone, to do a show that looks at coincidences and a stacking of coincidences. I mean, when you get past 5, it ain't a coincidence anymore, and look at how that might take us to a location which you would go to in confidence. Yeah, Sybil, exactly. Was 15, 16, 17, and I was writing. I would write letters to myself. I would have conversations basically with myself. So I would have full-on personalities going to school. And the psilocybin brain actually puts it all into, keeps me from being Sybil, actually, Bill. Puts it all into so I can a manageable perfect. So trauma, mass traumas, emotional, child abuse, and all that kind of shit. I didn't realize I had child abuse, but that's what I figured out. So what had happened is I would hide child abuse from myself because that's what Dave took care of, not David or David Charles or Davey or DC or Dodger. I went for a long time as a personality of the Artful Dodger, which means I'm stealing freaking everything. So I was, and they thought it was cute in a 14 or 15-year-old. But, I was actually practicing being Alexander Monday, which got me into rock climbing because I wanted to be a second-floor thief. I thought it was a great job. People don't lock their doors on the 3rd, 4th, 5th floor, so I could steal shit. Anyways, this was my imaginative life in managing with severe trauma and pain. I created people that would deal with it, so I could always maintain me. Well, me got lost in the shuffle, right? Which then creates stress later in life. It's like, well, who am I and what can I do? What really sucks is I have a personality that can do. Um, I want to say electronics, troubleshooting electronics. So I can, you can see if circuits are correct by putting your probes on circuit boards. That'd be Bill. Bill knows all about that shit. So troubleshooting electronics. So if I go into that person has to be abused, but he also has that little bit of schooling that was in that part of my life that was in the 80s. So a lot of the music that would be like the Police, the music, the Police kind of is a trigger to remembering big chunks of that part of my life. Because there was a real fucked up time in music. It was great for the Police and Sting and really great artists, but it was really horrible for good old like hard rock. That would be like Poison and all that stuff. Stuff was fun, but it was shit tons of cocaine and horrible, everybody's, no one was living for the future. You figured you're just going to do this shit and we're going to die. So, oh, you know what? That is a theme that is in the thrill of the chase. It is a thing worth dying for. Julio, write that down. The thrill of the chase was a thing worth dying for. If you're alone in your life, you have nothing going on, it becomes, well, what motivates you? What's a, for me as a rock climber, I want to see if I can get my body up on top of that. And that's really freaking, exciting, and that's neat. And then it becomes training and it becomes focus. Very good for my kind of brain, right? Because you're physically working out a thing instead of having to figure out the psychology of politics or people or love. Ugh, love. Good God. You saw the Police in '79? Dude. Senora Minata, or was that Synchronicity? Or was that Ghost in the Machine? Woo! Probably Ghost in the Machine. Don't stand so close to me. Great musicianship. And by the way, there's a killer interview with Sting that's only 3 months old that is with Rick Beato. Rick Beato, the musician, does some great interviews because he breaks down music into all of its parts and explains it all and tells you the freaking, this is that chord, this chord. So all the stuff that I learned by ear, he's explaining it. Oh my God, it's so freaking cool to hear it broke down. And he interviews really like Jacob Passario or Pat Metheny. He interviews all the brilliant jazz musicians. Sting has a foundation in jazz, which makes all of his music way more interesting. Yep, the Police. Someday, yeah. Or we could put it in a round table live meeting, and people can kind of chime in if you'd like. That could be good. JK already knows about Rick Beato. Fucking genius to watch this guy. Notice the millions of hits he has. By the way, so I know you guys, why you guys aren't suffering from any of these kind of psychoses, diseases, split personality, which is now known as DID, ADHD, or dyslexia, or trauma. Susie and I share in trauma and music being a trigger. I deal with it and go through it. A lot of people who have the trauma will trigger into other personalities. I elect to not be that scattered. There are some things that are cool to keep a personality, let that person have that, and let that just kind of die with that person. That's all cool. But the good news about the way my brain thinks is it's possible to think in global concepts. So like that. Well, I got to go see if this guy's. I'm gonna go check on this guy's cat. Smoke a bowl. 15 years. All right. I gotta go to this appointment. I need some pie. You know what I mean? Cat in a hat. So distracted so easily. Good point. But the neighbor came over. So what happens is I left the vent off the house. Because there's a mouse or a rat running around underneath my house. And the neighbor's cat comes and flushes out the critter. So I need to take a couple of bites. I'm starting to shake. What time is it? And I gotta go run. Right? It's going on noon. Take all my notes. Go see the doc. Did all my homework. It's good. Good to know that I'm not retarded. See, that's part of the problem. Is all my life I was called retarded because it's so hard to read. Right? I mean, seriously, I misspelled my own name. That's why I was relating to Jack. So. Get easy. There we go. Couple of bites. Nutritious. Yes. Yes. Nitrous hits. No, yeah. No, that gives me a headache. No, I got pot. I don't need to do that. I got... What the fuck is this? Vanilla wafer. OG. Indica. All right, a couple of bites. Gotta get something in because I gotta go. So, Hulu, you should get back to me on that. If you want to be involved in some kind of a broadcast, yes, pumpkin. So, You know what I've been, so I've been trying to get through this book. It's called The Dyslexic Advantage. Fuck me, Advantage. So it's written from a doctor looking at me and trying to explain what's going on, which is really cool. But experience it from this side. It's nothing like the writing down. I mean, I had to get the book on tape and hear it so I could see what the fuck how these normies see how the fuck I operate, which is weird, right? So, part of what's going on with me is I used to be a rock climber. Why? Because I'm sure Rusty will relate to this, that if you have a really active brain, you got to keep your body moving all the time, or you're thinking too much and you're depressed, and it's mean. So you got to keep moving, especially dyslexic people, because, pardon me, movement helps the brain calm down into where you can read better. I don't know. So, and reading, by the way, how do I describe reading? Reading is taking it from what looks like hieroglyphics or Chinese that equals a sound that equals words. So you're going through this constant translation process, really fast time, and it's really it's a pain in the ass. Mine too, JK, but I think solid. A purple one. Not knowing what's purple. Purple. What are we talking about? Pot? OG. Oh, okay. Color has no valuable. Is not color only has in marijuana only denotes a bit of that kind of strain. And then it's time to fucking pick usually, and it's there to attract whatever bug or whatever. So it pollinates. It's got nothing to do with strength. Strength has got everything to do with the trichome here. Here's a jar of trichome. Trichome is what grows on the pot, right? And you see all that lovely color right there? That amber color? That's what gets you stoned, right? And this shit's 50. This is what? Is it 50%? The green part of the purple part doesn't do shit. This is like 50, 60%. You can get all the water out of that and turn it into 80 and 90%, right? Well, it's limited. The purple bud is fickle and is harder to grow. It has its own particular smells. More smell means more THC, by the way. Because all this right here, what you're seeing in here, the amber yumminess here, that's on all pot. If you let pot mature to its point, the trichomes will turn amber color, and that's time to pull it. When they're clear, I mean, they're on their way. You watch that like every other day. You're constantly looking, trichome down a plant, boom, 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 top to bottom. And when it's even from top to bottom, it goes milky, and then it goes to amber. It's done. Yank it, right? Hang it upside down. Let all the THC go into it. Trim it down. But it's in the genetics is where it comes to. So, I really like Soma's genetics. I have one pie a year. Excuse me. I have one pie for Christmas or Thanksgiving. Here it is. Cheers. See? Aspects. Peace. Interesting. I keep getting Suzanne Saunders. Didn't Suzanne Summers do MASH? I mean, I know that was Loretta Swift and the other one, but I could have sworn. No, never mind. Wrong blonde woman. all my shit together. There we go. Cheers. Oh, you got your turkey? Things are hot. Lips full of hand right there. Absolutely. Very good. Very good. I'm actually going to participate in a bit of holiday stuff for a change, which is not my norm. But I think this is a good. I'm in a good scene, so I will be involved with that. So here's a question in your group. We got 23 people in here. Hoolie's in there. We got Richard. We got JK. We got some usuals. We got Rusty. Right the fuck on. So, yay for the butterball. Do you guys want to come up with some fundamentals or try to establish fundamentals that could possibly be in here? We're looking at clues and hints and possibilities. Do we want to do that? Express opinions upon said idea. We get to be artistic critics in a concept theory of perception. Damn, 11:58. I thought that's the time. Nope, that's the LBs. Like Ozies. My girls love turkey. They go crazy smelling cook. Girls, this means like you actually have human children in your life, or does this mean that you have dogs that are going to flip out and you call them the girls? Yes, Davio, turn the page. Turn the page. Interesting. You doing a Bob Seger's freaking quote here? Or what are you telling me? Turn the page. Where do you guys want to go? Do you guys know? I'm going to snap a hook and barbecue it. I'm not kidding. It's a crab of a turkey. Why not? Cool. Excellent. Yes, I'm participating. I'm also doing an art project over here. Can you even see that? Here, look. So this is one of these deals here, right? One of these, what do you call this shit? Galvanized barrel in the shape of a heart, right? Okay. I'm going to cover it in red lights and garland, right? And hang it. And I'm going to hang it from right here. I'm going to drill a hole right there. It's going to hang like that. And it'll slightly move like this, which I thought would be kind of fun. I like stuff that's dynamic in art, right? So if it moves a bit like that, right? Cute? Okay. Julio will like it. She likes hearts. But it's not just going to hang. It's going to hang in front of that. Isn't that kind of cool? Right? It's three-dimensional letters. Metal on the front of the letters. Right? Hang that on the house. Put some blue lights on it. Hang this in front of it. Kind of like that. There we go. Kind of cute, right? That's it. Another bite of pie. Then I gotta go. I don't know. I ask you guys questions, but you guys are too shy to answer. Andre likes the idea. Gemini. Sleeves. Green sleeves. Sleeves. Andre put his hand up. We're saying hi to Andre. Hi, Andre. I think we should investigate potential aspects of the book and of the search, like Forrest intended, but as a group. Wow. Bullseye. I think people got into this to kind of relax from all the shit show that is life, and I don't want to have. And I think there's at least a couple hundred people They want to be involved in having an idea. See this? I have an idea. Ming, 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 ming. What's the idea, right? Come on. What's your idea? Because I got to go. That's what I should ask the room. I gotta leave for an hour and a half. Should I leave this on so you guys can... What time is it? Yeah, well, you don't have to leave for a half hour. But I gotta get ready. Jacket. Oh, jacket and sleep first. Go through the book like that? Oh, I'm slow. I don't know in terms of what parts are of the book. So the jacket, oh, the dust cover. Is that what that's called? I get it. Well, remember, I don't... Okay, so you want to go over this part of it, right? And then go over pages. Wow. Hi, friends. We wave. Hi, friends. Jody. Oh, yes is waving. Got it. Get a little slow. Book cover, front and back. I can dig it. Okay. Okay. So if it's so in other words, if the book is the topic and we talk about what we see and the potential of what these things could mean, and we do a little research on that, you guys find that willing? I think that is worth pursuing, and sticking to parameters that they talk about. That sounds real. Happy Thanksgiving this week. Yeah, that's right. That is coming up Thursday. The book cover. Yeah, okay, I see where you're going, mate. I see where you're happening. Interesting that we have gold foil leaf on the book. By the way, this is 5th edition. My third is put away. I believe it's a darker brown instead of light brown. Anyway. So, I'm going to release more answers to stop this shit show from progressing further. We don't need it. Well, yeah, Zoe. Bloody hell. Andre, how very polite. Yes, indeed. So this seems to be very positive. People would rather talk about the book and the potentials thereof. I think that's the direction to go because I think we all agree that it is a distraction from the world. And you guys like the art aspect of it. Because it's art, what we're trying to do here. And if we keep it artsy and artistic, that's very interesting. That's interesting to me. It would keep my bloody attention. I got to see more, You should be an RR. Richard, so is listening. Okay, good question. Rusty's asking me a question. How come the horse on the cover doesn't have a blaze on his forehead, yet the one on page 58 does? Because there's two horses and we're seeing a picture of one with and without blaze. I found it interesting that he's looking back, like looking back Texas. All right, leaning. I mean, I know that's a gas tank, but one could think it's a bomb, right? The fact that these are photos on top of a photo, that seems like layers. And look how this one's overlapping that and overlapping that. The little corner things. This is missing a little corner, right? I think we should be looking at stuff like blazes on faces. I agree. I don't disagree with that at all, Russ, by the way. The fact that it says water on a hunk of wood like his dad would. See that where it says water? Right, that photo? And it's a sign pounded into the ground, just like on page 16, threshold moment. The coins and which ones are showing. So you want to go over stuff like that. The fact that that's in black. This says AM, just like on page 95. AM, a memoir. His name in white. This in black. We're in black and white. Interesting. Those kind of salties. I can do that. Lightning is a horse statue. In Craig, Colorado. Oh, I love that kind of shit. Sorry, well, what happened to your hand? Oh, my wrist is broken. Pay attention. Sorry. Pay attention. Good question, Rusty. Pay attention. Okay. Rusty takes a light to it. There you go. All right. Add some sunshine to it. That's interesting. Sunday? Haha. Sunday is sunshine. Pay attention, goddammit, there, Davio. All right, so, but I'm just trying to get it because I got to go. But if these are the things you all want to go over and talk about, I'm into it. That would be great. That would be totally cool. I have to stop doing that because that fucking hurts. Not important. We're having a conversation about the book and carrying on talking about poem and book and cover and everything as a wonderful distraction from life and everything else. The reasons we got into the thrill of the chase in the first place was one, probably a distraction from what was going on in your life, Blaze. Age 58. So we're talking about the Blaze on the horse. Rusty wants to get into that. I can dig it. I don't disagree. And I think that takes us to other horses and other things all along that area. So if we want to talk about these particular things, I think there is a thing worth talking about. FM. Look on page 95. AM twice was the first brown. Brown horse. Ouch. Be safe. I gotta go get a smoothie. Oi! Oi! We have 5 Leaf in the house. Andre, really enjoyed this. Can't wait. Oh, okay, so you want to do more of this. I'm trying to get an idea of what folks want to talk about. I think y'all don't want the drama shit, and you'd rather talk about the artful ingenious that was going on with Forrest and the potential of what if. That is interesting to me. So if you guys are interested in that, then we can do more of that. Like look at the cover, like Rusty's saying about how this photograph with the sign pounded into the ground relates to page 16. In that, it is a sign pounded into the ground. You know, why are photographs tilted? No one's addressed that. What's that bloody mean? Right? Codes. Now, what's the Rosetta Stone? Is the Rosetta Stone a code? Ooh, there's a question. Next to the picture of the backwards bicycle. So you got the backwards bicycle on this page 58 thing. I am not remembering a photo of a backwards bike, but you are seeing something in a drawing. I'm seeing photographs of is this a river? This is a Stinking Creek. So we got Stinking Creek in Discovery, Montana. 16-year-olds. Interesting. City, Montana, elbow room. So by the way, you want to look up something interesting? Look up a song called 50 Miles of Elbow Room. Red Canyon. Figures. So the word red shows up a few times in here. Baby Ruth shows up on here. Fly rods, knives, marches. We have a list on this page. So this is page 58. Right here. Good, bad, and the whatever. Whatever you want to talk about, mate. So there's a bike. So I'm seeing this Me and Lightning. Boy, a whole bunch of stuff around that. So you guys would rather talk about all that? All right then, because I don't think we should mix, arrows directions. Is a horse a bike? Bike is the name of playing cards. He doesn't really talk about bicycles on here as much as horses. Not important. Did you know the pics on the cover? A perfect square in a larger image. Perfect square in a larger image. Oh, right. Yes. So what you're taking note of is the size of the photographs. Now, not important. I like where you're going. Go to page 10, line 13. Doesn't he talk about something was a 6x4? Okay. We went through a photo drive-up period where all photographs were 6x4. There are only 3 photographs, which are 6 inches by 4 inches in actual, which one of us is high? I am, but we're looking at all the details, right? We're looking at the stuff that Toby thought didn't matter, like how many lines are on a given page number, like how many lines are on the one that have no page numbers. There are no page numbers on pages 18 and 19. Why? So the lack of these kind of things and that kind of detail and that kind of scrutiny, I think, is worth highly having a conversation about. Let's have some fun with that. It's imaginative. It's the fun part. How many 6x4 photographs in the book? How many photographs have the little circles around the corner, right? Little like curlicues. 1, chapter 21, Father on the Banco. Why? How many pages, how many times does the postmark show up on the left side or the right side? 1 time. Skippy. So I think there are some standout things like that equal things we should pay attention to more than the other. Would those then correlate to the poem, in that if you number the poem, you can apply those numbers to the poem and you're going to get a greater amount of information that takes you to a more conclusive beginning spot or some kind of location or whatever the fuck, right? Mario, what's a Mario is saying? So LOL, all of us rusty. Dig it. Well, it's a way. Whoa, photographers, pictures of concealing a message with another message. Whoa, good lord! I don't disagree with that, but wow. Never a cipher. Well, that's okay, so my question stands. What did Rusty say? I'm missing the joke. There's an inside joke. Which one of us is high? Clearly, I have smoked a bowl. Obviously, it gives me a tunnel vision of sorts, so I'm not thinking about 12 things at once, but only 7. Right? Right. Should I leave this on when I leave? Extreme graphic analysis of Fen books by Sir Davio. It's never a bad thing. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. See. Oh, okay. See, I don't. Thanks for the feedback. Because I don't, you don't want me going off on my imagination. You know who'd be fun to do a broadcast with? What's the guy with Tobra the cat? 2W2. I like where his brain goes. He'd be a nice calming thing against my, high, what do you call it? Hyperactivity. That's part of the H and the ADHD. So anyway, me too. Notes. I'm forgetting notes. Yeah, the Rosetta Stone. Doesn't that seem like, he was extraordinarily proud of the guy that it took so long for him to find the Rosetta Stone. It seemed like that was really, a thing. So, I gotta go. Oh, Andre, goddamn, that's really nice. Thank you. I haven't watched Cynthia's video. I'm still not convinced. Jeep Girl, I think you should definitely watch the video, and it's fascinating the things that he talks about. She puts in 2 freaking remarks, quotes, actually videos of Fen talking about doors. Threshold moment, page 16, line 16. I mean, I really think those things were, is it referring to how old the girls were when that freaking stuff was? I digress. Point is, interesting to watch that video. She kind of refers to actually having some kind of information from somebody. Like Shiloh. Does anybody think Shiloh knows where the thing was? I don't think Shiloh ever knew. Do we think he got informed where the treasure was and the breakdown of the poem through a will or later on? That's a good question. We don't know. So, those things, Oh, we're inspired. Oh, good. Thank God. Ow. You're more of a hyper-focuser than an ADHD. Well, see, that goes with the dyslexia and the other thing. So, the pot helps me just stay on one track instead of... Now, what you're not seeing me do here is try to read. Or actually write. Oh, my God. How do I write? I write in drawings. Everything's some fucking crazy fucking drawing. Here's an idea. All the time. Just all the time. All the fucking time. So what I like is the thinking about the poem, and what makes one idea better than another idea? Is the missing chapters matter? Does the missing table, there's no table of contents. Does that matter? Is there a key word? And what's this mojo working about the doors? I mean, she says mojo about this 9-mile hole. Mojo. Keep your mojo working. She actually says that. And you have to ask yourself, is numbering the poem hard? Is it abstract? Is something you never thought of? Is it too childlike? I mean, those are questions you have to, the things you don't do or you think are hard or simple, you have to look at. That's why I paid women to read the book. An old one, a young one, and then a real hyper freaking, 20-something. Because I couldn't read the book. I could not read the book. How many people find, what am I doing? I'm taking the wrong fucking deals. I'm not going to a meeting with this stage here. I'm going to do this. So I don't mind being, looked at like a bit of a freak, but as long as we're doing this in a artistic way, because I think some people can relate. But where does it go? We have to take the idea to a conclusion or location, and what we're not seeing is a map. So as we do this, we should probably look at me too. I think that this is a part of what T-Space is good for. See? Hyperfocus. Oh, well, okay. Force is more than once. Ooh, yeah, see? Mojo. The Doors? I mean, wow. They're a big fucking deal in history, the Doors, right? And his daughters were into it. And Jimi Hendrix is a big deal because he doesn't start thinking about, we have areas in agreement here. Okay. Well, perhaps these are the areas that we should pursue. I think Shiloh for sure knows. Too cute. Yeah, he's the 6-foot-something, stud pilot dude, with, good parents that have got him solid. By the way, is Shiloh married? Does he have kids? We don't know any of that. Right? As we shouldn't, because, it's kind of like diving into how is that relevant to us finding the end of this. I would like to do something that would be something that Shiloh would want to watch. That's along the lines that it's in the same vein as Squirrel, same vein as The Thrill of the Chase, right? That's what I think. All right. Squirrel. I'm going to push the go button. You guys didn't tell me that I should leave this on or not, so I'm going to end it. We'll catch you later. All right? Squirrel. Attention! Maybe I need to pour it out, but ooh. Yes! Well, I like that. I have no deficit. That's right. Attention deficit can be on the input more than the output. Damn good, 5-leaf. See, that's relevant. That's fucking brilliant. Don't delete that. And Rusty, that was funny. Squirrel was great. You were right. No, but intend to process input. Right. I'm having trouble. So the other shit is giving me trouble with my words. Thanks for talking. Good. Chipmunks. The squirrels. That's funny. Be safe. Cheers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. You guys are very kind. This is great. To me, this is more productive. And instead of, I don't know. All right, pushing button.